Well, okay, I guess it's better late than never. And we're in a review period in the workbook of A Course in Miracles, and I thought maybe I would go through the review section that comes prior to the actual lessons. And I'm not entirely sure how many people take the time to read these before they go on to the lessons, thinking that they might not be important. Um, but the truth is, if you do, when you do, if you do, and maybe this will give you some motivation to do it, which is what I hope for. I can't change your mind, um, yet perhaps I could help with the motivation as to why we pursue the doing of these lessons, and a reminder of what it is we're attempting to achieve. So often, I've heard course students, and I spoke to one last night, as a matter of fact, um, who, in a sense, feels as though she's failed and is judging herself because, based on some of the things that have been going on in her life, she didn't keep up with the lessons the way she had expected herself to, and now is down on herself and not quite knowing what to do. Um, and using the lessons to judge herself, which of course is the exact opposite of what this is all about. Um, Jesus isn't judging you in any regard, nor of course is God. Um, I don't think, knowing God as I know God, I don't think He created you in order to exact and enact His judgment on you when you fail to meet what you think are the requirements for being His holy Son. I just don't find that to be the case, and I don't find any evidence in A Course in Miracles to support that thinking. Yet I do understand the nature of the ego gives rise to that thinking. And as we said, we've learned earlier, an untrained mind can accomplish nothing. As a matter of fact, um, it is the mind that lost its way, so to speak, or is experiencing a break in communication, which in a sense thinks that it's accomplished something by manufacturing an illusion, and then losing themselves within the illusion as a place to hide from the punishment that they project on God as wanting to exact from them, rather than rather just simply recognizing, why these things happen and coming to understand themselves a little better within um, the utilization of what Jesus offers us. So let's take a look at some of what he says in this preface to the reviews. Um, listen to what, and he uses the word "we," which I really like. Um, our third review begins today. We will review 2 of the last 20 ideas each day until we have reviewed them all. We will observe the special format for these practice periods, which you are urged to follow as closely as possible. Now, that's him talking as himself to you and I, and to all those who somehow have found their way to pick up this book and begin to understand the nature of his statement when he says it's a required course. And now he makes another statement. We understand, of course, that it may be impossible for you to undertake what is suggested here as optimal each day and every hour of the day. So there's a continuum. There's obviously a continuum that is spearheaded by Jesus, who is in charge of the atonement, the head of the atonement in that sense, as an elder brother who has completed his part. And he's speaking from the we, the consortium, the continuum, from which these lessons emanate and in whose minds they remain, because thoughts don't leave their source, as you've never left your source in your eternal and infinite reality of love. So there's an understanding that what's being asked in the condition of mind that you find yourself in may seem to be impossible to do, to the optimal that it's presented, the optimal method and manner to which it's been presented to you. But you're being asked to not let that dismay you. Now, the fact that he says, we understand this, is an indication of the love and compassion and the understanding that he has for who you are, exactly as you are, as you're sitting here with me right now. So there's nothing hidden. There is nothing hidden. And Jesus was noted to be said, knock, and seek and you shall find. Knock, and the door will be open unto you. All that is hidden shall be revealed. And this is what's happened in the nature of his own sojourn. And in his fulfillment of his function, he ran into every problem that you've run into. And when you begin, when you open up, and you really do allow Jesus to be the voice for the Course in Miracles, and accept the fact that through his saviorship, you are saved, and through your acceptance of his saviorship, you are able to save, because you aren't using the power of the ego that indicates separation. You aren't using the weak power, the powerlessness. Let's call it the when it says in the 12-step program, you're powerless over your addiction and your life is become and your life is unmanageable. It's not saying that you're powerless. It's saying that you're powerless over a particular thing that happens because it seems to happen over and over again, and you don't understand the nature of it happening. And in a sense, your identification with you fails to present you with the ability to see the power that you do have, because you're so lost in the experience of being powerless over the substance, which could be anything in the world, not just drugs. Anything in the world can be a substance or be utilized as in the nature of addiction to keep you in the state of powerlessness, so as for you to not experience the true source of power that you are eternally one with. So the fact that he recognizes you exactly as you are, and he continues to offer his love and support, as we're going to see as this goes on, is an indication of the fact that there's no judgment in him on you, and there is only his willingness to share his heart and mind with you if you're willing to share yours with him. And there's nothing for you to be ashamed of. There is nothing for you to be ashamed of at all. I understand we may feel shame, but there is nothing for you to be ashamed of. It's an emotion. It's a feeling that the ego utilizes to suppress who you are in your own recognition and to render you in the condition of unworthiness, when in fact this is telling you that in spite of all those ideas, you are worthy, you do have the strength, and you can do this. So let's go on. Learning will not be hampered when you miss a practice period, because it is impossible at the appointed time. Nor is it necessary that you make excessive effort to be sure that you catch up in terms of numbers. This next line is something that we all need to take a look at, and we all need to remember. Rituals are not our aim. That's one of the reasons why I keep saying this is not to become a ritual. The workbook is not to become a ritual where you do this year in and year out, because the second time you do it is a denial that the learning that you accomplished in the first time, and it's a denial of the recognition that Jesus as a teacher has the ability to help you, and you have not accepted his help. None of that's true. You do these lessons exactly as they're designed to do, and it makes no difference how you judge yourself. You're asked to do these, whether you understand them, whether you think you get them, whether you think you've done them the right way. You're just asked to do it the way it's laid out. And here, it's also offered the understanding that perhaps if you don't, you may judge yourself, but fear not, that judgment is equally false. And those things are not the obstacle, but this is the obstacle. Learning will be hampered when you skip a practice period because you are unwilling. You're unwilling to devote the time to it, which you are asked. Do not deceive yourself in this. Unwillingness can be most carefully concealed behind a cloak of situations you cannot control. Learn to distinguish situations which are poorly suited to your practice for those which are established to uphold and camouflage your unwillingness. So don't kid yourself. There's another great line here. I wish I could find them all. I don't have enough time, I don't think, to deal with this. One of the reasons that he offers you, for the reason why you may be weak in your motivation, in spite of the thinking in your mind that tells you really want to do this, there are still goals in the world that you prefer to pursue. Now, that's not a judgment. It doesn't mean you're bad and you can't do this. The admission that that is so would be helpful. It would be helpful to take you off the hook and get you, and so allow you to see that there's an understanding here for that. And remember, this is a required course. Only the time you decide in which to take it is up to you. And if you decide to not take it now, that's your decision. Be happy with your decision. Understand why you make that decision. Don't use it against you, but don't think it means that you can't learn this. Don't think it means that this course is not for you. Just recognize that right here and right now, there's an unwillingness in you is because there's other things for you to do. That's good information to have about yourself. This all brings us good information, which gives us continuing understanding both of how we feel and think and why we feel and think that way, not to evoke guilt, but through the light and love of the Holy Spirit to evoke understanding of who you are. This is not judging you in regard to the fact that if you don't do these lessons, you're not saved. It's not saying that. If you don't do these lessons, then you're not a child of God. It's not saying that. It just is saying that there's particular reasons that you utilize to not do these lessons, that you hide from yourself, to deny yourself an understanding that could be very useful. This is important, you have been given them, these lessons, these ideas. Have faith in these reviews. The means the Holy Spirit uses will not fail you. And at this point in time, it's saying you may not know those means, but they're not going to fail you because the Holy Spirit does not fail. Just like God will never fail you, and the Christ in you can never fail you or your brother. You've been given them in perfect trust, in perfect confidence that you will use them well, in perfect faith that you would understand their message. And even the idea that you would use them well to understand why you're not doing them is using them well. It's a step in understanding yourself and coming to know yourself. Offer them to your mind in that same trust and confidence and faith. It will not fail. It is the Holy Spirit's chosen means for your salvation. And with his trust, merits yours as well. You understand this? Jesus understands you. When I first picked up the course and I started to read it, I understood. I understood that Jesus knew me well, not necessarily because I was a son of God and we're one, but because he could tell me about myself, how my mind was operating before I knew it was operating that way. And then I could say, oh my God, I see, I get it. I see what I'm doing. I see what I'm doing to myself. Not in a judgmental way, but in a way of gathering good information. Information that helps us learn. This is good stuff. I keep on missing the part that I want to see. And I don't know why it's not scrolling correctly. But it isn't scrolling correctly, and maybe I can get it too. Do not forget, here it is. Do not forget how little you have learned. Do not forget how much you can learn now. Okay? You are not expected to have learned everything that needed or needs to be learned just now. But you are being offered the assurance that you can learn, that you are learning, and that as you learn to learn, more shall be revealed to you, and the motivation to learn will be increased. One of the things that I liked about the Jesuit education that I received in both high school and college was the fact that it wasn't that I was the greatest student in the world. It was that if there was one thing I saw was that the Jesuits were able to teach me how to learn. And when you learn how to learn, you can be a happy learner and then apply that skill to anything. And I know in my heart and my mind, based on my recognition of the fact that salvation has already been accomplished, that each and every one of you have learned these lessons, do learn these lessons, and will learn them at the time when you decide that they're more important than the lessons of the world that you think offer you some sort of satisfaction, joy, peace, or happiness, or a way to survive here. I know for a fact there came a point in time and did when everyone recognized the truth of who they are, and we graduated from the need to learn in this particular form association and moved on in our universal experience to take our place as the creators where we were designed to create and with who we were designed to create. And many of you are beginning to recognize each other and remember yourselves in, let's call it, in an eternal association that seems like something that happens in the future after all this is complete, when in fact it's happening right now, simultaneous to your learning of the lesson, because merely reviewing what went by in order to recognize what has already been accomplished, both in us, with us, through us, and in the relationship that we have with each other and with God as our Father. Miracles are seen in light. I cannot see in darkness. Let the light of holiness and truth light up my mind and let me see the innocence within, inside of each and every one of us. There's an innocent, whole, perfect child of God. And our innocence and our wholeness and our perfection, when joined with our brother's innocence and wholeness and perfection, make up the guiltlessness of the Christ himself, wherein which no suffering had ever been possible, will ever be possible, nor ever took place. Our accomplishment of salvation precludes the ability for this dream to have ever existed. And it will just be a passing cloud that for a moment obscured the light and love of our reality. Miracles are seen in light, and light and strength are one. And that light and strength are one within you now. And that is the light and strength that we're calling upon in each other as we help each other achieve salvation, because salvation is the reunification of the sonship that was previously lost for an instant and is now recognizing the truth of who it is as we find each other here, join forces, pick up our mighty companions, and begin to fulfill our assignments. I see through strength the gift of God to me. My weakness is the dark his gifts dispel. Nice line. That's beautiful. My weakness is the dark his gifts dispel by giving me his strength to take its place. Miracles are seen in light. Miracles are seen in light, and light and strength are one. And you are one with me, with your Father, and all of our brothers in a reality that is not of this world, but can be known right here, right now, within this world.